Right, it's Terry here, and as you can see by the intro of the film, I've made that 1" 2 downpipe assembly up, and what I've done now, I've just made these brackets. Now 2 of them will support the 2 downpipes, and the other 2 are going to help to support the silencers, because obviously the silencers will be mounted differently than if it was a hardtail. But what I'll do, I'll get the camera and we'll have a look at these brackets, and I'll actually take them over to the bike and I'll show you how they're going to be mounted just before I weld them up. Right, so looking at the bike then, you'll notice the silencer's on, but it's only fitted temporary just so I can show you where the bracket's going to go. So let's have a look. Now I've put the one on, it's not welded, but I've put it in place and it's mounted here. Now that nut there, or this mount on the bike, that's where the original footrest was, the 638, and my bracket's behind. Now you may be able to see if I just put the camera underneath, just there, that's the bottom of the bracket, so that'll be welded both sides. Now this is the other one, this is for the left side, and if you look at it you'll notice I've ground, or you might be able to see it, I've ground a curve so it just fits on the bend there on the silencer. Now the other bracket, which is this one there, you'll notice there that there's 2 holes in, so we could have a flat piece of steel like that which will be bolted to this, and then there'll be some tube about 22mm diameter and about 3mm thick, which will be welded to that flat, and it'll be about 12 inches long. And on the other end there'll be a similar flat piece of steel, 2 holes, which will bolt to the silencer. So if I get this mount, this is where it's going to go. Roughly it's going to go under there, like that. And if we look over here, you might be able to see the 2 holes just there. That's it. So basically this mount will be welded to the back of this plate that the swing arm pivot's mounted to there. So it'll be welded to the back of that plate and also to this tube as well. But I'll be able to show you more detail on this once this bracket's welded on. Now it's quite stable at the moment without any of the brackets being welded on. That's because if you remember, there's a bracket here holding the downpipe, and then underneath there's a mount here supporting this section. So the exhaust system will be in 4 pieces. You'll have the downpipe, the middle section which divides it into 2, or a manifold, and then obviously the 2 silencers. So I think I'll take the bike outside now and start welding them on, and I can show you then how these silencers are going to be mounted. Right, so the brackets are welded on the bike then. I've got silencers there, well at least I've got one of them anyway. Now these silencers are off a Joe 250 per rack. Now what I've had to do is weld my own brackets on those because of the way they're going to be mounted. Now the original brackets were just one under the seam there, but the way I'm going to mount them, it needs holding in 2 places. In fact we'll have a close-up of this so I can show you properly. Right, not sure how well you can see this, but what I've had to do, I've had to change the mount completely on this silencer. What I've used is a 3-inch piece of angle, it's 2mm thick, 2 holes there, and the reason for this is so that the silencer can be held in 2 places rather than one like the original. Now the original mount was just 1 piece of steel at the bottom on this seam, 2 holes, just 1 piece of steel. Now if I was to mount that the way I've got to mount mine, with the vibration it could fracture there on the weld. So what I've had to do is weld this angle on so it's held in 2 places 90 degrees from one another. So when it's held here it's much more firmer. But I'll go and bolt it on the bike now and we're going to have a look. Right, so back in the shed then, and the exhaust system's all finished, but I do want to show you the mounts on the silencers. Right, so if we look down here, there's the plates I made earlier, all welded on, and you can see the bracket there bolted to it, 2 M10 bolts, and there's that tube I was on about, the 22mm. If we look underneath, there it is, and it runs to almost the centre of the silencer there. If we look over the back of the silencer, you'll see it bolted there, 2 M8s. Now this system is pretty rigid as well, it's pretty good. And if I grab the silencer, it's hard not to move the camera as well at the same time, but you can rock the bike with it, it's pretty rigid. So that's all done now, I'm happy with that. Now the carburettor, that's been adjusted, but what I'm going to do, I've got a spare carburettor. I'm just going to have a close-up and I'll be able to show you in detail what I've had to do to it. So we'll have a look at that now. Right, so this is a spare carburettor I've got, and it's identical to the one that's on the CZ project. It's a Jikov, that's J-I-K-O-V, and they're quite common on Jawa CZ. So what I've had to do, I've had to alter the main jet, and if I just unscrew the bottom there, and the main jet's in the bottom, and that just screws out. Now that was a size 85, and I've took it up to 97.5, that's 15%. It wouldn't matter if I went to 100, to be honest, to start with, because it is just a starting point. So I'll screw that back on. Then the other jet is the slow running, or tick over. Now I haven't got to change that yet, but this is where the jet is, on this carburettor anyway, this mic. If I just unscrew it out. Now this jet, this is size 50, but like I said, I don't need to alter that yet, for the reason, simple reason, I can alter it here by either screwing this needle in or out. Now once it's running, if I find that if I turn it half out and then a quarter, now that's 3/4 out. If I found that it was less than that, say half a turn, then this jet would need altering, because any more than 3/4 turn, in other words, if it was half a turn or less than that, it's not acceptable, you have to change the jet. And if I was to screw it out any more than 2.5 turns, say 3 turns, then again this jet would need changing. So anywhere between 3/4 out and 2.5 is fine, but that'll do as a start anyway. Right, so there's only one thing to do now really, to try the carb out and the silencers, and that's actually start the bike up. So we'll take it outside now and fire her up, see how she runs. Right, so I've set the bike up then with a temporary ignition system, and what I've had to do, I've had to run a fuel pipe from the Jawa all the way down to the carb on the CZ, because I don't really want to get petrol near that tank, not until it's painted, and most importantly it's got the lacquer on, petrol resistant lacquer. So what I'll do, I'll put the camera down now and we'll start it up, see how she runs. Nice, here it goes. Right, so she does seem to be running fine. I'm really happy with the exhaust system. I think it sounds nice as well, I like it. Now, if you remember, I was on about the carburettor, about the pilot mixture. It's 3/4 turns out to 2.5. Anywhere in between that and you're okay, you don't have to change the pilot jet. But it does run best at 1/2 a turn out. So that pilot jet will need changing at some stage. But apart from that, it runs alright. I'm really happy with it. So the next thing I do need to do now is get the battery mounted. Now it's not going to be under the seat where I was going to put it. It's going to be somewhere else. But I'll show you in the next film. Because once I've got the battery on, mounted properly, I can actually just have a bit of a ride on it, see what it's like. So the next thing to do then is mount the battery, and I might start looking at the chain guard as well. So I'll leave it there for now then. I'll catch you in the next film.